Oftentimes, our twin flame journey can feel like we're constantly looping in the same thing, meaning the same patterns keep showing up, whether within you or within your twin flame or within the connection. And this is where things at times can feel close, they can feel distant, they can feel intense, they can feel really low, they can feel confusing. And I want you to know that all of this stuff that you're experiencing and that you're feeling is actually quite normal on the journey. And yet at the same time, it's giving you key insight to understanding things because all of this isn't random. Oftentimes we can be our most biggest critic when it comes to our goals, when it comes to this journey. And it can feel like we're stuck. And it's not because we're stuck because something is wrong. What is actually happening is you're stuck, or this feeling of being stuck because you're repeating the same pattern. And it's a pattern that you haven't been able to fully see or understand yet. And if this is something that's resonating with you and you're experiencing within you, within your twin flame dynamic, then I invite you to join me in this week's video. And if you're new here, I want to welcome you. My name is Melissa, and I created Sacredness Within You because I wanted to be able to help feminines who are on the twin flame journey rediscover that sacredness within them. And I like to think of myself as a feminine alchemist, the sacred feminine alchemist, helping you alchemize things in your life, turning your patterns that you're experiencing into power, and to be able to alchemize the things in your life so you can allow the inner feminine within you to rise, cultivating inner union and increasing your odds of landing 3D union. And one of the hardest parts of this journey is these patterns that are playing within us, within our twin flame, and within our connection. These patterns that we're experiencing actually feel really normal to us because, let's face it, we have been operating from these patterns our whole entire life. And I remember meeting with a client one day, and I recognized a pattern within her. And I've talked about this before, where this is one of my biggest gifts that I have, is to be able to see patterns within individuals and help them understand why this pattern is occurring and what steps they need to take to unlearn that pattern and start learning a new pattern. And when I recognized this within her, she didn't see it as a pattern because she saw it as something that everyone else did in her reality. So for her, she never questioned it because everyone else was doing it. And to me, that is a very big sign that if everyone else is doing it and no one is questioning it, you might have to be the one that starts questioning it because it might not be a pattern that is actually serving you to help you rise into who you're meant to be in this lifetime. When it comes to these patterns, it's not about blaming. It's not about blaming yourself. It's not blaming your parents. It's not blaming society. It's not blaming your twin flame. Everything that has happened to us, yes, can be very unfortunate. It can throw us some of the most traumatic events in our life. But when something happens to us, it is our responsibility to shift that within us. And through this journey, these patterns that we're able to see is bringing up awareness within us. And I've mentioned this before in my videos and on my TikTok channel or my TikTok account, that as feminines, many of you are really great at being aware. Where there's a gap between where it is that you are and where you want to go is that you're not going deep enough into the work to create the transformation. And that is some of the hardest work because we're unlearning the things that we're doing or that we've been doing in our life. And we are walking down a new path that we've never experienced before. So this can be terrifying. And within our twin flame dynamic, these patterns that are being played out within us and within our connection, your twin flame is actually going to mirror these subconscious patterns that you have within you. Because your twin does not create the pattern. They actually are the ones to reveal it to you. And if you want to take it a step further and look at your life, people in your life are also revealing these patterns to you. And so when we're looking at these patterns, because we're going to go over, I think, 8 different patterns that I oftentimes see within feminine twin flames and within their dynamic, is that these don't just happen within your twin flame dynamic. These also happen in your life. And once you become aware of these, you can start asking yourself, where in my life am I also doing this? Because if it's happening in your twin flame dynamic, chances are it's happening in other places in your life. And I think one of the things that I struggled with in the beginning of my journey, especially because I didn't truly understand back then what was happening. I didn't understand that my twin flame experience was my path of awakening. I thought there were 2 separate things at the time. And I thought, oh, I'm on this twin flame path. And then here I am awakening at the same time. I don't know what to do. I would oftentimes think when I saw something within me or within my twin, I was like, there's no way that this is happening, that this is real, because logically, the logic is the conscious brain. Logically, my mind, for example, let's say money, because money has been one of my biggest lessons in this lifetime. So with money, my logical brain says, I want more money. Yeah, having more money would be great. But my subconscious brain, which is where our programming lies, says otherwise. Oh, you have to work hard for it. You have to struggle for it. And even when it comes, there's not a lot. And you're going to barely get by. And you're always going to want to have more because there's never enough. That was my subconscious programming. And my conscious brain and my subconscious brain were not in alignment. And that's where you have to start differentiating things. Because logically, you might know a lot. You might understand what it is that you desire logically, but your subconscious brain, which runs 95% of your patterning, runs 95% of what it is that you do every single day, is not communicating the same thing with your conscious brain. And so we have to get the conscious brain on board. That's through looking at what are your beliefs in your subconscious brain. You have to start doing subconscious reprogramming. And one of my favorite things to do is listening to subliminals at night when I'm sleeping, because it's one of the best ways for me to start doing that. Another thing is that we have to be able to start recognizing is that our body, our nervous system, is also dictating what it is that we can receive and what some of these things are playing out between us and our twin flame. And so becoming familiar with how your nervous system operates. How does your body feel when something is happening in your reality? Are you connected to your body and you can feel when your body is telling you that you're unsafe, or understanding where your abandonment lies in your body? Because that's going to give you some key insight in how to unravel this. But not only that, we have to begin to start doing new emotional conditioning, because many of us feminines have had the belief that our happiness lies outside of us. Everything around us is what creates our happiness. But as you start navigating your journey, you start peeling back the layers, you start realizing that your emotional fulfillment, your emotional happiness comes from within you. And so you have to begin to look at that emotional part too. Were you emotionally conditioned to loving a certain way because that's how you were raised, when your soul is saying, no, I don't want that. So I want to keep things a little bit simple today and go into, let me see, I think I have 8. Yeah, 8 patterns that I see within feminines that happen within them and within their connection. And we're going to just dive a little bit into these, because these same 8 patterns, we're deep diving into them on Thursday, April 23rd in Rise. So in Rise, each month we have a 90-minute masterclass, deep diving into one section of the twin flame journey, one section in helping you allow your feminine energy to rise each month. And so we're diving into these this month, and we're going to be diving into why these were created, what to do. We're going to do some journal prompts, embodiment practices, somatic practices, all of that to help you understand how these patterns live within you. And if you're wanting to join the community, then I encourage you to click on the link in my description box. If you're not able to attend the live events each month, no worries, because everything will be housed in the platform there. So you'll be able to rewatch the masterclass as often as you need. And each masterclass will come with a workbook, and oftentimes either a meditation or some type of visualization to help you start unraveling whatever it is that we're talking about. So let's start diving into these. The very first one is the push-pull dynamic. And I know all of you are familiar with this because this starts playing out in the very beginning of our twin flame journey. And this is where usually the feminine is pushing. And so when she's pushing, what happens is the masculine starts pulling away because her energy pushes out. So it's pushing him away. And feminines, when you are pushing towards your twin flame, aka chasing, you are actually running from yourself as well. So not only do you chase, you actually run as well. And this is happening because you have a fear of intimacy. You have a fear of intimacy, you have a fear of abandonment, and yet there's a part of you that craves this closeness with other people in your life, closeness with your twin. But the moment that it arrives, you oftentimes push it away. So that's a push-pull dynamic. Number two, I oftentimes see is the feminine overgiving. Overgiving her energy, overgiving her time, overgiving financially. That's going to be a whole nother topic we're going to dive in next week. She's overgiving all the time. And she does this because she's trying to earn love. Her whole entire life, she's been conditioned to earn love, to prove for it, to perform through it. And so she's trying to do this through her effort, through her energy, or even her emotional labor. And so begin to see where these are playing out within you. And if you're having multiple of these show up inside of you right now and within your connection, I want you to have some compassion for yourself because all of us go through this and this is so normal. And I don't want you to beat yourself up, but if you're needing support in overcoming these challenges and these patterns, and I encourage you to join us on Thursday. The third one is breadcrumbing. Ladies, I was so guilty of this for so long. And it was actually a pattern that I had in every single relationship. And I remember when I started realizing that I was accepting breadcrumbs from my twin flame, I then could see how it played out in every single relationship. And even in my relationship with my mother, and even with my father. And this happens because we're accepting inconsistency instead of requiring alignment. And there's this part of us that says, oh, if we just get a little bit, that's all we need. Because then you think that person loves you, that person cares for you. And like part of it stems from your lack of worth as well. And I always would tell myself, I'm like, girl, you can't settle for breadcrumbs because you want the whole entire cake. Like I want all the layers, all the frosting, everything. And so you have to no longer accept breadcrumbs because truth be told, the more that you accept the breadcrumbs, the more that he's going to keep dropping them because it doesn't require him to do much effort or work for you to stay, for you to keep reaching out to him, for him to take up your time. And ultimately, you are the one that has to create the shift because he's not going to wake up one day and be like, oh, I'm going to stop breadcrumbing her because out of the kindness of my heart, I'm going to stop breadcrumbing her. No, it's not going to happen, ladies. It's not. You're the one that has to start taking the steps to no longer accept those breadcrumbs. Oh, this is another one that I was really guilty at, that I was so addicted to, was the emotional highs and lows. because it stemmed from my childhood. I saw my parents having a great marriage, and then moments later, they were feuding. And I saw this my whole entire life growing up. And then it happened in every single relationship because oftentimes we're confusing intensity for love. And what happens when this pattern is within you, if you have somebody who you love and they love you, and there is no emotional highs and lows, you actually find that relationship boring. Because I had one of those relationships. This was, I think, in like 2005, maybe. I had a relationship, one of the nicest guys I ever met. Like, literally, never really truly got upset. And he lived a very simple life, but yet that's all he desired. And to me, because I didn't have any of the emotional highs and lows in that relationship, I got bored really fast. And to me, I was like, wait, this isn't love. And so I ended up leaving that relationship. So start looking at how does this pattern play out within your relationships. Number 5 is waiting, the pattern of waiting. I know some of you are like, I'm not waiting, I'm living my life. But energetically, you might be waiting. And when we do that, when we're waiting, whether we're conscious of it or not, through either our conscious mind or our subconscious mind or even our energy body, which is regulated by our subconscious programming, you're putting your life on hold and you're ultimately postponing your life for the relationship until this resolves or until he comes back in my life. Like I just heard somebody the other day I was connected with talking about how, she'll finally have a place where she really wants to live once he gets a place. And I was like, girl, you should have your own place and a place that you love through you, through your work, through your own experiences, and not wait to have something nice until you are with him. And so where is it in your life that you're postponing your life for the relationship, postponing your life for your dreams, or postponing your dreams because of him? And it's important to take a look at these and put them into your own perspective. Number 6, seeking external validation or approval. And this needing of reassurance from whether it's from your twin or from others is because you are unable to trust your own self. You're unable to trust your own intuition. And you're unable to actually validate or truly see yourself. And this can be a patterning from your childhood when you made a choice and somebody told you it was wrong, or you made a choice and the outcome of it didn't happen in the way that you wanted it to happen. And so because of that, you start looking for external validation. And oftentimes too, this seeking of validation from your twin flame comes from this place of, I need to have his approval before I can do something on my own, or I need him to see me in this way. And I remember many times in my life, I was seeking his approval through whatever it was I was doing in the 3D reality, because I thought once I had X, Y, and Z, he would be like, oh, she finally has it together. He could finally see that I was creating these shifts in my reality, but every single time I did something for his approval or his validation, it ended up backfiring on me. And so where is it that you can start validating yourself? You can start approving of your life, of your choices. Number 7, and I'm so guilty of this one every once in a while because all of these can be so sneaky, but for me, this one is the sneakiest one of all. And that's self-abandonment. And this is where you're ignoring your own needs to maintain the connection. Maybe you're constantly on the phone with him and you're ignoring your need for sleep or ignoring your need to have some of the basic functions in your life. Or perhaps you're overgiving And then you end up not being able to do something for yourself. You're overgiving your time or energy, so therefore you can't work out. And so then you start abandoning that goal of creating a healthy vessel for yourself. And number 8, this one is near and dear to my heart. And this is one that I struggle with a little bit still. And it's this part of me that plays small, the pattern of playing small and the fear of being seen. And this is because you're holding back your truth, your voice, and the way that you express yourself. And this can come from your childhood. Oftentimes, like if you have this fear to be seen, it can be from the shame that you hold, guilt, fear around things, or maybe somebody shamed you for something about your body, the way you looked, or the way you expressed yourself. And so when we start playing small and we have this fear of being seen, this pattern will play out within our twin, because if you have a fear of being seen, your twin is not going to show up in your reality because you don't want to be seen, and they can sense that. And so that will actually push them away. And your fear of playing small oftentimes can stem from not wanting to outshine others because of things that have happened in the past. And many feminines struggle with shining their light bright, stepping into their fullness and stepping into their purpose and mission in life because they're afraid that they will be abandoned by their beloved, or perhaps it's going to trigger their beloved as well. And so they fear that they might lose their twin. But the reality is, when it comes to playing small, your twin needs you to step up and shine your light bright. Your twin needs you to step up and step into your fullness and start stepping into your purpose when the time comes, and start living the life that you are here to live without them, even if it triggers them, because that's the medicine that it is that they need in order for them to grow as well. And if you're watching this and it came to your mind that many of these you can resonate with, or you can see that multiple of these are happening in your reality, I want you to know that you're not alone. And like I said, these are completely normal. And I think within the collective, I think it's important that we start normalizing some things that happen within our twin flame journey versus shaming others or saying, why did you do this? Or I can't believe you do that, because that can happen. But the reality is it is normal. But it's our time now to take the responsibility of creating something different, because you're the only one that create the shifts in your reality that you desire. Not your twin flame, not your friends, no one. And when you can start completing these patterns and start stepping into a new way of being, you will start to see your personal journey transform in incredible ways. And the one thing that I missed for a really long time, and I was talking to a friend about this yesterday, is that these patterns that we just talked about, and these are just 8 that I see most common, and there are plenty of patterns that we experience, is that these patterns don't just break or end through awareness. They break through embodiment, they break through reflection, because if our body has an energetic imprint, or we have that subconscious belief of something different, we will not be able to end this pattern. And so when we look at these patterns, we're looking at our nervous system. How is our nervous system communicating to us? Because the reality is our nervous system is going to seek familiar. Your nervous system, if you're stepping into your purpose, is going to seek familiar and going to keep you playing small, because that's what feels safe. And you're going to have this fear of being seen. If that's wired in your nervous system is always going to have that fear of being seen projecting out into your reality. So if you have views in your posts that are like only 40, it's a sign that you're probably needing to look at that pattern, needing to look at where is it that I'm afraid to be seen? Where is it that I'm afraid to speak my truth? And this is something that I have been working on like for years, and it's taken peeling back the layers of things and allowing things to come up. And when it comes to your subconscious brain is going to only repeat what it knows. So if it says that you have like, I have a fear of being seen because of A, B, and C, you're going to continue to have this fear of being seen because of A, B, and C. Until you address A, B, and C, that fear of shame or that fear of being seen is going to continue to pop up. Because awareness, like I talk about all the time, is step number one. But that does not create the transformation that is required of you. And saying affirmations and being positive all the time. So spiritual bypassing and false positivity is not the way either. And I am so guilty of that as well. Because those don't help you break the pattern. Those don't help you rewrite your nervous system. Those don't help you embody something different, because if they're not in alignment with what your subconscious programming and your body actually believe, they're not going to do any good. Because you don't break your patterns by just intellectualizing them. And that's a pattern that many feminines have. Many people actually do. They understand they know that they have this pattern, but they don't understand why. And they don't understand the steps that they have to take in order to break them and start choosing differently in the very moment when that pattern begins to show up. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this is exactly what we're going to deep dive into next week in Rise. We're going to go deep into awareness with these eight patterns. We're going to start talking about how to unlearn this pattern. We're going to identify the exact root cause of why this pattern exists within you. And then we're going to do some somatic practices and embodiment practices to start unlearning and unraveling that pattern. Because when you start taking those steps and then getting to the root of it, that's when the shifts begin to change within you. And so this month, in the month of April, on April 23rd at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'll be going live in the community portal to deep dive into these. And if you can't make it live, like I said, you can always catch the replay. Because here's the one thing that I want to share with you is that you're not meant to stay in these patterns. You're not meant to continue living this way. Your mind will want to keep you playing out these patterns, because when you start to let those patterns go, you start to embody what you're meant to embody in this lifetime. And you start listening to your soul. You start trusting in your own intuition, because you're meant to see these patterns. You're meant to feel these patterns, and then you're meant to choose differently. And so before we go, I want to ask you one question. Which pattern is yours right now? What pattern is playing out within you and within your connection the most? And what would it look like if you stop participating in that pattern? And if you're brave enough, I want you to drop it down below in the comments and allow others who come across this video to support you and cheer you on. And if you got anything from this video, then I encourage you to subscribe and like this video and share it. And if you're feeling called to join us in Rise, I hope to see you there. And if not, I'm sending you all so much love and light, and I'll catch you in the next video. Until next time.